Your pain is not a biological event. It is an opinion, a calculation made by a desperate mind trying to negotiate with a reality that does not care about your survival. Imagine a room in Hierapolis nearly 2,000 years ago. The air smells of stagnant water and old sweat. A man is on the ground. His leg is being twisted by a master who views him as nothing more than livestock. The torque increases. The bone begins to bow. The physiology of the human body dictates that this man should be screaming, he should be begging, he should be bargaining with whatever gods are listening. But he isn't. He looks up at the man snapping his limb in half with the mild curiosity of a scientist observing a weather pattern. He says calmly, "If you continue, you will break it." Snap. The bone shatters. The leg is ruined forever. The man on the ground does not cry out. He simply nods, looking at the ruin of his own body, and says, "I told you that you would break it." This is not a story about patience. It is not a story about looking on the bright side. This is the story of a psychological weapon so dangerous that modern society had to rebrand it, dilute it, and sell it back to you as a wellness trend to keep you from understanding what it really is. You have been lied to. You have been told that Stoicism, that the teachings of Epictetus are about letting go. They told you it was about finding peace in a chaotic world. That is the lie. Epictetus did not teach peace. He taught war. He taught a form of psychological amputation so radical that if you actually practiced it, if you truly did what the texts demand, you would not be a well-adjusted employee or a happy spouse. You would be something else entirely. Something terrifyingly invincible. There is a secret hidden in the Enchiridion, a psychological mechanism that the modern translations gloss over. It is called the open door. And by the end of this, you will understand why the most powerful institutions in history have tried to domesticate this philosophy. Because a man who has truly let go isn't peaceful. He is ungovernable. But the horror didn't stop at the shattered leg. That was just the prologue. To understand the deception, we have to peel back the first layer of the modern psyche. Look at your life. You are drowning in cortisol. You are anxious about the market, the climate, your status, your relationships. You consume self-help content that tells you to release these anxieties, to breathe through them. This is the mindfulness industry, a multi-billion-dollar sedative designed to make you a more functional cog in the machine. They quote Marcus Aurelius on coffee mugs. They treat Stoicism as a hack for productivity. But Epictetus was not an emperor. He was a slave. His name literally translates to acquired. He was property. He lived under the thumb of Epictetus, a sadistic secretary to the Emperor Nero. Epictetus didn't need a philosophy to help him close a business deal or sleep better at night. He needed a philosophy that would allow him to survive inside a cage. The letting go you have been sold is passive. It implies relaxation. It implies that if you just exhale, the weight will lift. The truth of the discourses is violent. Epictetus realized that the human mind is a fortress with a fatal design flaw. The drawbridge is down. We let everything in. The insult from a boss, the traffic jam, the fluctuating bank account, the opinion of a stranger. We allow these external data points to march right into the throne room of our consciousness and sit on the throne. We are not victims of the world. We are victims of our own hospitality. The first step in the real psychology of Epictetus is not relaxation. It is eviction. It is the realization that 99% of what you call yourself, your reputation, your body, your wealth, your family, does not belong to you. It never did. You are borrowing it from fortune, and fortune is a loan shark that can recall the debt at any second. The anxiety you feel is not caused by the loss of these things. It is caused by the delusion of ownership. When Epictetus says some things are up to us and some things are not, he isn't suggesting a gentle prioritization. He is commanding a brutal psychological apartheid. He is drawing a line in the sand of your neural pathways. On one side is the prohairesis, your moral will, your capacity to choose how to interpret data. That is yours. That is the only thing that is yours. On the other side is everything else. Your body, not yours. It is clay, subject to disease and age. Your reputation, not yours. It exists in the minds of others, and you cannot control the minds of others. The modern lie says, focus on what you can control so you can feel better. The Epictetus truth is, focus on what you can control and treat everything else as if it is already dead. This is where the darkness enters. To practice this truly, you must undergo a form of self-induced sociopathy toward your own attachments. You have to look at your child, your lover, your own face in the mirror, and whisper the mantra, "This is nothing to me." Not because you don't love them, but because the moment you attach your well-being to their existence, you have handed the keys of your sanity to a universe that delights in crushing things. But what happens to the human mind when it actually severs these cords? The result isn't just calmness, it's a kind of terrifying clarity that most people cannot withstand. Let's descend into the second layer, the pathology of desire. Modern psychology tells us that desire is the engine of life. You want, therefore you do. We are dopamine-driven biological machines. The entire global economy is predicated on the exploitation of your lack. You lack the car, the body, the status, so you work, you buy, you suffer. Epictetus identified this loop 2,000 years before dopamine was discovered. He saw desire not as a drive, but as a sickness. He called it a demand for a different reality. Every time you desire something that is not currently happening, you are declaring war on the present moment. And since the present moment is the only thing that actually exists, you are losing that war 100% of the time. The modern Stoic sells you the idea that you can have ambition without the suffering. They lie. Epictetus dictates that you must slaughter desire entirely. He uses the metaphor of a banquet. The dish comes to you, you take a polite portion. If it passes you by, you do not stop it. If it has not reached you yet, you do not blaze with longing for it. But here is the jagged edge of the philosophy that they hide from you, the reserve clause. In Latin, faetor. It means doing everything with the caveat, if fate permits. You plan to drive to work, if fate permits. You plan to return home to your family, if fate permits. This sounds like a linguistic trick. It isn't. It is a method of pre-traumatizing the brain. By constantly visualizing the failure of your actions, the death of your loved ones, the destruction of your goals, you are inoculating yourself against reality. You are living in a state of constant, controlled catastrophe. Think of the psychological toll of that. To wake up every morning and vividly hallucinate the funeral of everyone you love. To visualize your house burning down. This is the practice of premeditatio malorum. It is not optimism. It is not positive thinking. It is diving into the worst-case scenario and setting up camp there, so that when life inevitably strikes, it strikes a ghost. You are already gone. You have already mourned everything you have while you are holding it. The person who does this is untouchable, but are they still human? This is the question the texts don't answer. When you scour your mind of hope and fear, you remove the very textures that make life feel real to most people. You become a surface without friction. But the horror deepens, because once you remove desire, you have to deal with the vacuum that remains. And what fills that vacuum is not peace, it is power. Layer 3. The Citadel of the Will. Let's go back to the leg. Why did Epictetus smile? It wasn't because he didn't feel pain. The nerves fired, the nociceptors screamed, the signal traveled up the spine and hit the thalamus, but then it hit the prohyresis, the will. Epictetus had trained his mind to view pain as external data. It is information, not a command. The master breaks the leg, that is a fact. I am in pain is a fact. This is bad is an opinion. Epictetus simply refused to have the opinion. This is the ultimate rebellion. It is the realization that you can be tortured, imprisoned, starved, and humiliated, but your internal narrative is encrypted. No one can force you to believe you are being harmed. Consider the case of James Stockdale, a prisoner of war in Vietnam for 7 years. He was a student of Epictetus. He was tortured repeatedly. He had no rights, no future, no hope of release. He survived by embracing the Stockdale paradox, the absolute faith that he would prevail in the end, combined with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of his current reality. But Stockdale didn't just think positive, he weaponized his mind. When his captors told him they would parade him on television, he beat his own face with a stool until he was unrecognizable, so they couldn't use him as propaganda. He slashed his scalp with a razor. This is the dark heart of the Epictetus truth. It is not passive acceptance. It is aggressive non-compliance. It is the willingness to destroy the vessel, your body, to protect the cargo, your mind. Most people are slaves to their comfort. The moment comfort is threatened, they collapse. They betray their values to keep their job. They lie to avoid conflict. They are terrified of the cold, of hunger, of disapproval. Epictetus teaches that if you are afraid of these things, you are already a slave. The master isn't the man with the whip. The master is the comfort you are addicted to. To be truly free, you must be willing to lose everything, and I mean everything. There is a terrifying story of a Stoic philosopher on a ship in a storm. The passengers are screaming, crying, praying. The philosopher is silent, staring at the waves. A passenger asks him, "Are you not afraid?" He points to a pig on the deck, which is eating grain, completely indifferent to the chaos. The wise man, he says, must at least equal the tranquility of the beast. But we are not beasts. We have imagination. We can foresee our own death. To achieve the tranquility of the beast requires us to use our higher intelligence to lobotomize our survival instinct. We have to look at the storm and say, "This is just water and wind. If I drowned, I drowned. It is of no concern to me." This creates a human being who is fundamentally alien, a human being who cannot be leveraged. You cannot threaten a man who has already accepted his own destruction. You cannot bribe a man who views wealth as a preferred indifferent, a nice toy, but ultimately meaningless. This is why the Roman emperors were terrified of the Stoic opposition. They could kill them, yes, but they couldn't make them care. And power, true power, relies on the victim caring about the outcome. When you stop caring, the hierarchy collapses. But we are approaching the fourth layer, the abyss of the open door. Epictetus was not just teaching resilience, he was teaching the ultimate exit strategy. Remember, he told his students, the door is open. He wasn't talking about a classroom. He was talking about suicide. This is the taboo subject that modern self-help gurus scrub from the curriculum. They want you to live, to be productive, to buy their courses. Epictetus told you that life is a dinner party. If the smoke in the room becomes too thick, if the conversation becomes too dull, you have the right to leave.
Hinges everything. If you know with absolute certainty that you can leave the game at any time, you play differently. You play with a reckless abandon. You are not trapped in your life. You are volunteering for it. Every day you do not walk through the open door is a day you have chosen to endure the smoke. This removes the power of every external threat. Your boss threatens to fire you. The door is open. The doctor gives you a terminal diagnosis. The door is open. The government becomes tyrannical. The door is open. It is the ultimate no. But consider the darkness of a mind that keeps this option on the table every single second. It requires a detachment from life that borders on the pathological. You are walking through the world like a ghost, haunting your own existence, ready to vanish the moment the terms of the contract become unfavorable. This is the letting go they lied to you about. They told you to let go of stress. Epictetus meant let go of the tether to existence itself. And now we must ascend to the final layer, the secret of the sympathia and the terrible cost of total control. If you succeed, if you actually manage to build this fortress, if you sever your attachment to your body, your reputation, your loved ones, and your future, what is left? You become a point of pure consciousness, a singularity. The Psychology Vault has analyzed the journals of those who attempted to live this way fully. They don't report happiness. They report a sensation of being above the world, the view from above. They see humanity as an ant colony. They see wars as petty squabbles between insects. They see their own pain as a mechanical malfunction. It is a godlike perspective, but gods are lonely. The lie of modern Stoicism is that you can have this power and still be one of the guys. You can't. The moment you see the matrix, you are no longer part of it. You can interact, you can play the role of the father, the employee, the friend, but it is a performance. Deep down in the prohairesis, you are watching the play from the balcony, knowing none of it is real. You become an observer of your own life. This leads to a profound existential dissociation. You are safe, yes. You are invincible, yes. But you are also dead to the world of human emotion. You cannot feel the searing highs of passion because you have inoculated yourself against the searing lows of heartbreak. You have flattened the waveform of your existence into a straight, unshakable line. And this brings us back to the pattern interrupt, the smile of the slave. Epictetus smiled because he had realized the ultimate joke. The master thought he was breaking a man, but Epictetus had already left the building. He had retreated so deep into the fortress of his will that the body being broken was just a husk. This is the secret. The letting go is not a peaceful release. It is a strategic retreat into a dimension where nothing can touch you. It is the realization that you are not your name, you are not your job, you are not your pain. You are the witness. But the danger, the open loop I promise to close, is this. If you practice this, if you truly apply the Epictetus truth, you risk breaking the interface with reality completely. There are cases of depersonalization, derealization disorder that mimic the advanced stages of Stoic practice. The world feels like a cardboard cutout. People feel like automatons. You feel like a camera floating through space. The lost enchiridion, the subtext that connects the dots, suggests that Epictetus wasn't trying to fix the world. He was proving that the world doesn't exist in the way we think it does. It is all projection. It is all opinion. And if it is all opinion, then you are the creator of your own universe.
To you. They told you to let go so you would be calmer. The truth is, if you let go, you become dangerous. You become a glitch in the system. You become a man who can watch his own leg break and smile. And the institutions that run this world, the advertisers, the politicians, the bosses, they don't want a world of Epictetuses. They don't want a world of people who are indifferent to their threats and immune to their seductions. They want you anxious. They want you attached. They want you afraid. Because a man who has nothing to lose is the only man who is truly free. But ask yourself, as you sit there in the comfort of your attachment, are you strong enough to pay the price? Are you ready to kill the part of you that needs the world to love you? Because that is the only way out of the cage. The door is open, but the room outside is very, very dark.